Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. I got another book review for you today, and it's going to be an audiobook review, and we're jumping into the start of the Darth Bane trilogy, Path of Destruction, the first book. Before we jump into it, obviously, if you're new here, do subscribe to the channel. You won't miss any of the content to come, and it does really support my small channel. And do like the video if you enjoy it. So let's jump into it. The first book, Path of Destruction, is an origin story, and it's a brilliant story. The entire trilogy is written by Drew Karpyshyn, and the audiobooks are audio described, if you will, by Jonathan Davis. He's a great narrator. I really like his voice and his use of voices. He has a deeper voice, but which is perfect for Bane, but he has this way of he voices other characters in a way that isn't just, it doesn't make you feel like there's just some guy trying to voice different people and basically make the same voice a little bit higher or lower. He does have a way with his voice. He has a great way of expression with his voice without just raising it, or he's got a great speaking voice, and it really does help boost the story, because obviously we're jumping backwards to the Old Republic, so it's a time we've never covered before. So visually there's nothing other than concept arts and things like that, and some of the the old games and things like that. There's nothing in canon on the big screen that we've seen that really sort of paints the picture for us. We can only kind of interpret some of the things the way we see the galaxy and the the prequels, and the original trilogy onwards, so on and so forth, that kind of stuff. But this book does a really good job of world building. I think this is a great trilogy to jump into an audiobook of. I think some books are, I love to have physical copies of, and some books are better served as audiobooks and physical books. But this copy, I think, is really good, because you've obviously got the music and sound effects, which help enhance the story. It helps swell scenes and make things feel more ominous and things like that. But the narration is really good, and especially with his voice, like I say, being deeper, it really gives this baritone feel for Bane that's really good. Path of Destruction is an origin story, so it's a great entry into the trilogy, because it really sets the world nicely. It describes the limitations and kind of status quo of the time, talking about like the Republic status at the time. So they were at war. It was the Army of Light and the Republic, but not the kind of same Republic that we know from the Clone Wars era. This was conscription soldiers, basically, kind of like stormtroopers, but way before that, and not all looking the same, if that makes sense. But Darth Bane has nothing to do with that story in the beginning, so it kind of ties into how he becomes a part of it, and joins the Brotherhood of Darkness, which is the Sith army. And during the Old Republic, the Sith army at the time, the Brotherhood of Darkness was Sith lords who they believed certain things and wanted things to be different to the way the Jedi wanted them, and they had a lot of marauders, pirates, people that just sort of aligned with their views, following them and fighting their army. So they had soldiers just like the Republic had soldiers. They had Sith masters just like the Republic and the Army of Light had Jedi. So it was a very balanced kind of war in that sense. Whereas with the Clone Wars, you've got kind of like the droids. The droid army is basically strength in numbers, versus obviously the clones have numbers, but the Jedi are kind of used to bolster that up a little bit. So it was a really good opening to sort of understanding where we are in the galaxy. So I really loved the audiobook in that sense. The origin is Darth Bane at the time in the galaxy. It's no different with the Outer Rim. The Outer Rim worlds aren't really represented by the core, and they don't have the luxurious lifestyles. He grows up poor and impoverished in all sorts of ways, on a mining planet where the company that have you there they can loan you money for living, so that basically you'll never leave because you're always in debt to them in some way. So he basically was going to mine and live and die there his entire life. Was abused by his father, got into many different scrapes. He was a angry, aggressive kind of fight first, talk later kind of individual as a young man, and it depicts it brilliantly in the book. He's a huge specimen of a human. I mean, he's 6 foot whatever tall, and he's built huge. But at this time, he's not aware of any force sensitiveness or anything, what that could mean, or he's just a regular human. Thinks that he's smarter than other people, has good intuition, that kind of thing. But it kind of transitions out of that and how he wanted to get off world to where he basically finds himself joining the Sith Brotherhood of Darkness, but not as a Sith or anything, just as a conscription soldier, just trying to get off world and join the first group who will take him basically. And he joins as a soldier, but he quickly rises up the ranks to become a more elite soldier and fearless, and he's got kind of seemingly supernatural abilities, and then this kind of leads towards his transition into joining the Sith Academy and discovering that and joining it, and that for the first book, for me, that is the brilliant kind of part of the book, is learning about Sith training. And at that time in the Old Republic, the Sith ways, they talk about saber combat and concepts like with the Saber Master. He talks about the saber whip, having a single blade, longer hilt, single blade, double blade, dual staff, the Darth Maul kind of stuff. And he talks through the limitations and the advantages and things like that. It's really interesting the way, like with the whip, no one ever really uses it, so it's a formidable weapon because people aren't used to defending it, but it has its limitations, so it's a difficult one to master. The staff, same thing, fighting left-handed, things like that. But yeah, it's really interesting, and what I loved as well is that it's very much like the Jedi kind of insights we get with the library and things like that during the Clone Wars, where we see these Jedi learning and engaging with texts and lessons, but on the opposite side. So for Bane, for example, he engages with a lot of the old Sith teachings with Darth Revan, the Jedi turned to the darkness and back, and other legends from the Old Republic era, and it kind of pushes him towards the fact that the Brotherhood of Darkness have lost their way. They're trying to do an equality thing where they're more like the Jedi in the sense that they're all equal Sith of equal power and status, but Darth Bane, this is how he kind of pushes towards this rule of two idea, with the rule of two. There'll be two Sith Lords, no more, no less, one to embody the power and knowledge and one to crave it, the master and apprentice basically. And that's how he pushes towards basically the fact that the old teachings are the way of the Sith, that we should be going towards, but just kind of altered in the way that he feels, rather than the way Khan, who is the leader of the Brotherhood of Darkness at the time, is taking them. And it leads through all of that to him becoming a Sith Lord and joining the war, so to speak. But I don't want to spoil too much of the book, but it kind of ends in a crescendo of a big battle, and his part in that isn't as linear as you would think, and it kind of depicts how he wants to go his own way with this stuff, and he thinks that he's bigger than all of this and better than all of it. But along the way, some of the audio descriptions of lightsaber battles he has at the academy and all sorts of things like this are absolutely incredible. I really recommend it. In terms of a physical read, I found that the language was easy enough. I didn't think that it would be a very technical book to read on paper, but I think the audiobook really, at least for the first one, really gave me a great understanding of the world, and it built the world brilliantly, and then the story was so immersive. So I think that giving it a go, at least, if not maybe for the whole trilogy if you don't want to do that, but the first book as an audiobook is a great start. In terms of this kind of content, you're going backwards to a time we've never really visited before, so you do have to start with fresh eyes in some ways, but most of it is the same in terms of the concepts of the limitations of aircraft and the kind of the way the Republic and the galaxy works. It's mostly the same, so you won't be completely out of your depth even if you're a casual fan of Star Wars. But the diehard fans will jump on board a lot quicker with a lot of the concepts. But I definitely recommend it, even for just those snippets packed in throughout of the Sith lore and training. I do highly recommend it. It was a fantastic book, and I'm currently listening to the second one right now, so obviously there'll be more reviews to come on this trilogy. But I would recommend the book. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. It's a brilliant listen or read, so definitely go and check it out if you've got the opportunity. But I'm going to leave you with that one, guys. I'm going to go and enjoy my morning coffee. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.